Hi, I'm Dr. Len Baer. Before starting today's show, I decided to do something deeply personal and share a video of myself during the directed energy attack, just 1 hour after we recorded last Sunday's show. Please don't bother commenting that this is a psychotic episode or a delusional disorder. I have neither. I'm sharing this video with you because I believe it's only through a full disclosure we will achieve full recognition. I apologize for the gruesome nature of this video. This weekend, as we celebrate our Independence Day, I want you to remember that not everybody has the independence that we all deserve. And now to today's show. Hello, everybody. My name is Len Baer, and today is another Sunday. This is a legal update in the historic lawsuit, Targeted Justice v. Garland. And this week, as always, with me, Anna Toledo, the plaintiff for the attorneys in the case. Good morning, Anna.
Good morning, Len. Thank you for this wonderful hour and space that I look forward to so much every week.
Same here, Anna. This is like a therapy hour for me. We discuss legal issues. We discuss really serious subjects that every American should be interested in. And today we have some great topics to discuss. And our special guest today is someone that I have a lot of respect to. She's a true activist, a community organizer, an outspoken advocate for the rights of targeted Americans, and our newest member of the Targeted Justice Advisory Board, Gogi Justice. Hello, Gogi.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
That's so good to have you. We will talk to you later, but we'll start with the legal update. We all are ears. What has happened this week, Anna?
Okay, well, as you said, it's week 27. That's half a year. That's half a year of petitioning for redress of grievances before the court. And I know that a lot of targeted individuals are tired and are desperate to get some sort of relief. All of us are, but we have to follow proceedings. The defendants, the individual capacity defendants, which we talked about last week, which are the same officials, but on their individual capacity, they asked for an extension of 2 weeks in addition to the week they had to answer to my motion opposing their motion to dismiss. So the court, even though I opposed it in writing, the court granted an extension until July the 10th. So we anticipate that thereafter the court will have a ruling, at least as it pertains to the motion to dismiss. We hope that there's a hearing if the judge or the court has doubts regarding the preliminary injunction. We have asked for a hearing, and although we haven't been notified of anything yet, we do want to let everybody know that if there is such a hearing, we're going to tell you in advance, because the court will tell us in advance, and so that you all get yourselves your Targeted Justice t-shirt and show up with it to the hearing, because we need to let the court know that it is hundreds of thousands of us out there in this plight, in this unfair plight. So just be prepared for that, because I think it's going to happen. If what we're going to discuss today is it's crucial to the complaint, and it's one of the reasons why I Even though I cannot control what third parties do, what other people do, I can control what I do. And what I've done is that I have written a complaint based on documents that most of them come from the government and from on statements under penalty of perjury given in other prior cases. What this means is that they cannot deny the authenticity and content of it. That doesn't mean, however, that they're not contradictory, and that is essentially the crux of our contention, that there's so many contradictory statements here, and so many illegal actions stemming from the original Homeland Security Presidential Directive 6, that I just don't see how. In fact, one very telling point is that they didn't address non-defendants, neither the official capacity defendants nor the individual capacity defendants addressed, number one, the placing of innocent civilians in the terrorist database. They don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Number two, they don't discuss at all the different versions of why you're put on the list. So that is the huge Achilles heel, because if they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, you know why it is. So that's why I am very confident that law, the truth, the Constitution, and God is on our side, and that's why I tell everybody that even though it has taken, and it's taking a long time, it'll probably be by either by the end of July or beginning of August, that we'll have an initial adjudication of this first hurdle, right? Legal hurdle, which is the motion to dismiss. Please don't lose hope, because this is real, and this is a very strong effort, and that's why they are attacking you so hard, because they are holding on with their teeth and nails to the torture they're inflicting upon you. And we, like I've been saying, we are on the mile, now we're on the mile 24. I started saying we were on the mile 23. We're on the mile 24 of this marathon, and this is no time to give up or just let them win. We have prevailed, and we have undergone so much pain and suffering and torture that this is no time. We're so close to freedom that this is no time to give up. And so that's the only update I have for in terms of what's gone on in the court.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So about the deadline, as far as I understand, this is the last document that the court is expecting. As you said, after that, we're just going to hear from the judge. Is that correct, Anna?
Yes, that's correct.
Very good.
Len.
So what I would like to talk about and have Anna to comment on is about, although the individual capacity defendants nor the official capacity defendants don't want to talk about the many versions of the nomination of law-abiding Americans to the terrorist watch list or terrorist search and database. We will. And so let's look at all these different versions that we presented, that the opposite side presented us, and that the versions that are out there legally, that can be obtained legally or obtained under oath. So let's look at the many versions of the nomination process, or as I call it, the Carnival of Deception. So let's take a look at the first version. It's the Homeland Security Presidential Directive that was issued in 2003. It's interesting that we are like celebrating the 20th anniversary of this directive order, of this executive order. And from what I see, it's pretty clear that this database was directed to contain only known or appropriately suspected um, terrorists. Is that correct, Anna?
Yes, that's exactly it. That is it was a consolidated list for individuals known or appropriately suspected to be or have being engaged in conduct constituting in preparation for, in aid of, or related to terrorism. Now, this is very important because it says that they can only use that information as appropriate to the full extent permitted by law. But then, what this means is that even the people that are in category 2, which are the suspected terrorists, or category handling code 1, which are the known terrorists that there is an order to arrest them, you cannot inflict torture. You cannot go into their premises, into their property without a warrant. So even the known and suspected terrorists included in the list, not let alone the inclusion of people that don't fit the reasonable suspicion, it's reasonable suspicion grounds. Like it's pretty much like a motive, grounds for either arrest or for a warrant. See, so the reasonable suspicion criteria, a lot of people don't meet it, and are it's illegal for people to be in that list because HSPD 6 specifically said that it had to be those people in the list only. And evidence that we have from audit reports prove that less than 0.5% of the list constitutes those people. So what you have here is a list that it's really not for known and suspected terrorists, because most of the people in the list, over 97% of them, are not, don't meet the known or suspected terrorist criteria. And people are going to say, well, wait, 97% doesn't add up with 0.5%. The reason is, and this is something we'll find out through discovery, there's another 2 point something percent that it says other. It's like other categories. So we don't know what those are, and that we will find out through discovery.
Fair enough, Anna.
Lynn.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you. Let's go to the next version. The second version is actually dated 2019, is from Timothy Groh, a former deputy director of the Terrorist Screening Center. In his testimony, he said that, yes, there are people who are not categorized as known or suspected terrorists, but the purpose of this is really to determine eligibility for immigration to the U.S. Could you please comment on that, Anna?
Well, this is really interesting because that he says it's an exception, but in reality, it's the whole, most of the list is that exception. So by definition, exception to the rule is, the little part of it, not the big part. And that's one thing. And the other thing about this is that, for example, in our complaint, all plaintiffs are American citizens, except for one that is a legal resident. So if it's for immigration purposes, why are they on the list? And because they don't have to, deal with that. That's number one. Number two, which was, really crucial for me, is that when you read the audit reports by the Department of Justice and by the Office of Inspector General, none of them make a reference to the people in the list for immigration screening purposes. And those reports, those audit reports, are very thorough in terms of what they cover. In fact, in one of them is, you'll see later, we'll discuss one later, but what was shocking to me is that none of them make mention of this alleged exception, which should have been contained in any of those. At least I think we have 4 or 5 reports. I want to comment that after 2008, I haven't found, even though there were serious comments and criticisms by the Inspector General. After 2008, I have not found another audit report of the Terrorist Screening Center. And that's something that has to be looked into. And
Yes, that's very suspicious to me as well. I want to draw attention to the fact that the audit report that you have mentioned is dated 2008, and this particular statement is 2019. Just to give our viewers a proper timeline. Next version is from the official regulations of Department of Homeland Security. There are a couple of new categories I see here, as known and suspected terrorists. We already know it contains, but there is also a category of military detainees and transnational organized crime actors. That's new. What do you think about that, Anna?
well, the thing is that there's another list for the transnational crime. Is another list that is in the system, that the FBI has an information system, crime information system, online, right, that contains like 14 lists, like the gang members, the organized, the sex offenders, if there's just 14 different categories, and one of them is the terrorist database. So I don't know here, this regulation was published, and this we alleged in the complaint, in the Federal Register. Is the official version that DHS gives the public, but it doesn't match necessarily Homeland Security Presidential Directive 6, nor what has been said in the other audit reports. They don't really mention, they don't mention these, except for, of course, A, which is the basic one contained. The other ones are really, where did they get them from? I don't know. That's another discovery we'll have to do, because I don't even know if this is what they're implementing or not. Remember, DHS, they nominate people, but the ones that ultimately decide who gets on the list is FBI. And that's why we're going to go to the next, it's a slightly different version. What FBI says is the criteria to put people on the list.
Okay, Anna, let's go to the next version. Now, FBI, also in Federal Register, describes the content of the TSDB as the, there's a typo here, a known or suspected terrorist. I apologize for that. And people who have a possible identity match, or misidentified persons, and individuals about whom a terrorist watch related redress inquiry has been made. That's a very specific language. Can you please explain that to us, Anna?
Well, I'm going to start from the bottom, which is the terrorist watch list related redress inquiry. If a redress inquiry has been made, as I understand it, is that they were already on the list and they encountered problems traveling and they petitioned for redress to get removed. So I don't know why they would be like, yeah, put on the list the one that's already on the list. That one I don't really get. The other one that is very worrisome is, number C, letter C, is people who are misidentified. So just because I share the name with somebody that they say it's a terrorist, they put me there. I mean, I think that's where they're sneaking people in. Again, the important is that neither DHS nor FBI match these versions, except for the first one, which is the only legit one. They don't match, and they don't match. Like you said, this statement of 2019 was given under penalty of perjury in a legal case that was challenging handling code 2 of, the plaintiffs were in handling code 2 and had problems traveling. So it doesn't nothing matches, nothing, no, it's like you're talking about different things.
Yes, and this is very troubling. The mismatch of different versions is so bothersome to us. And we're just waiting when the rest of the Americans wake up to the reality of this watch list and how unconstitutional, illegal, and inappropriate it is. It doesn't match the original order. It doesn't look anything like what the original order was supposed to look like. The next version, I was actually not aware of this, but there's different FBI agents made declarations and statements under penalty of perjury given in the Elhady case. I'm not familiar with the case, so please, Anna, please explain this information.
Well, that's the case that I just talked about, where Elhady was the plaintiff with other individuals that are in under handling code 2, and they always encounter travel problems, including a baby, like a toddler. How can you have, and this is really interesting because the Department of Justice refused to answer when they were in the position. They asked, do you have children on the list? And the department says, objection, no, law enforcement privilege. No, it's not. At least in the case of non-investigative subjects, we already have admission that these people, that the non-investigative admission in an audit, in various audit reports, that these are people that don't have ties to terrorism. So in the Elhady case, when they asked, do you have children? Do you have children on the list? And they're like, don't answer. Well, in order to be tortured and microwaved, you have to be on the list. And we know that we have toddlers that are microwaved and that get V2K. So clearly, they are putting infants that cannot be suspected terrorists on the list. And that's what we got from that 2019 case. But in that case also, this came out, and this is like an instruction, handling code 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like an instruction sheet. We included it as one of the exhibits in the complaint because it gives instructions to police as to how to deal if you stop a person with one of these handling codes, how to deal with them. If you get you have to call immediately the FBI. It's very interesting because in 3 and 4 they say, do not tell them they're on the list, like really big. Don't tell them, and also try to look around for suspicious activity, like a little fishing expedition. They actually write that on their instructions to police departments. Look around to see if you can find something. And so that's what that is. We have the Baltimore police document and an Illinois police document that contains these instructions.
And now we have a version 6. This is a very important version. That's a 2008 officer of U.S. Department of Justice, Office of the Inspector General. This is an audit of the TSDB. And we have 2 slides, so it will continue on the second slide. But on the first slide, we have this category that you used in your filing, and it's called non-investigative subjects. And you can read the highlighted text, and it talks about people who the process of internal controls over these other processes, not other processes. So the main process would be the one described in the executive order, but then they added other processes, and the control of these processes is non-existing. What can you tell us about that, Alan?
Yeah, well, in that report, which is what I mentioned, is the last report that I was able to find. They say, and it's consistent with what whistleblower Mr. Steve Friend says. It says that the nominations that come from FBI field offices do not comply with agency regulation when it comes to nominating people to the watch list. And that is just like, you know, I find it because when you coupled with the fact that agents are getting financial incentives to put people on the list, why and not have to worry about having to comply with the requirements, is a recipe for the disaster that we are looking at now. Okay. I don't, like I said, it's very worrisome to me that I cannot find a subsequent follow-up report to this one saying, oh yeah, they corrected those problems. On the contrary, what we're getting is the explosion of all these whistleblowers saying that, if your neighbor had a spat with you, they can call the FBI and report you, and you'll be on the watch list. And that's what Mr. O'Boyle said under oath before Congress. It's not me saying it; it's under oath in Congress, part of the congressional record. And it's just we've gotten to the point where this is out of control. This is a law enforcement tool that is out of control, used to oppress opposition, and most importantly, I think, is to deter the whistleblowers from coming forth, because it's like, if you dare speak, you're going to be next. And that's what happened. Ted Gunderson, who is the FBI, former FBI supervisor agent that denounced this program, he was murdered. And there's a lot of other people that have been whistleblowers that become targets.
This is the second slide from the same Inspector General. So this is interesting, that they found cases that should have been removed, and FBI never removed them because they really don't have a process for it. So, and that was in 2008. And as you said, there was no other inspection. So God only knows what is happening in that database today. Anna?
Yeah, that's very clear that those people should have been removed. The Inspector General identified it, and it's, what is really worrisome to the civil liberties of Americans is the fact that if the Office of Inspector General is prevented from continuing these audits and denouncing what is wrong with this terrorist screening center procedures, that means that there's orders from high up precluding this from happening, because Inspector General is there to make sure that the processes within the agencies of under the umbrella of the Department of Justice are carried out pursuant to the law and in respect of the civil rights and constitutional rights of people. So it's just, to me, it's very troublesome, particularly when you're gonna put the next slide, which is the most troublesome, because this is a crescendo, right? When you get to the next slide, that's when this has gone south. It's just gone a really, really wrong and terrible place.
Right. With that, drum roll, please. And version number 7, Declaration of Samuel Robinson, Acting Deputy Director for Operation of Terrorist Searching Center, given in 2023. It is directly related to our case. It is one of the exhibits in the case that we're talking about, Targeted Justice v. Garland. This is 180 degree from the original order. Mr. Robinson openly states that Terrorist searching database includes individuals who do not meet the reasonable suspicion standards for terrorists and suspected terrorists. And the details regarding the method by which individuals are identified for watch list exceptions must not be disclosed and are properly categorized as law enforcement sensitive. And there we go. It's been 20 years of this evolution from the original executive order to today, when an FBI operative, an officer, an active deputy director for this list openly admits that anybody can be put on the watch list, and we will not tell you what the criteria are. This is a disaster. Anna, please help.
I am at a loss of words, because this is the most undemocratic, it is the most illegal and outrageous thing I can think of. And here's the thing: Congress should be stepping in here. And the weaponization committee that is looking the other way and trying to ignore the elephant in the room, when you have that, first of all, Homeland Security Presidential Directive does not authorize placing anybody but known and suspected terrorists in this list, okay, on this list. Therefore, anything outside of that is illegal, because there is no legal authority to place anybody but known and suspected terrorists on this list. Aside from that, the criteria used to put known and suspected terrorists is published. It's in the watch listing guidance, okay? Now, the nefarious and secret, this pretty much admits to, in my opinion, it admits to the illegal targeting program, because there is no legal reason for anyone in the government to say, yeah, we're putting people on this list for secret criteria, and it's not law enforcement privilege protected, because these people are not the object of criminal investigations. Because targeted individuals, for 20 years, yeah, you're going to have somebody for investigation for 20 years for what? Just, come up, either file charges or close the investigation. But that's just something that it's just outrageously illegal. And I just don't understand, hey, it's just another conflicting version. So when you have the same parties saying different stories, either under oath or in official uncontroverted documents, you cannot, which one are you going to believe? Which you can't believe any of them, because none of them are reliable, because they all contradict each other. And that's our posture. Our posture is, you don't have to believe plaintiffs, because their own contradictory statements are sufficient to not believe them. That's, and that's how it goes.
This is so troublesome. And apparently our Attorney General, Merrick Garland, is looking the other way. The constitutional rights and due process of innocent civilians, innocent Americans, is not a matter that he is concerned with. And with that, let's take a little legal break and talk to our special guest, Gogi Justice. We are so happy to have you here, Gogi. You have a very memorable name, audibly indistinguishable with an amazing healthy berry native to Asia. And so just like the goji berry is good for your health, you do so much good for our community, Gogi. Please tell us about yourself and your efforts, Gogi.
First, thank you so much for being here, Dr. Bear. And Anna Toledo, it's so good to be in your company. What a brilliant discussion. I mean, it is so needed in our community. The information is invaluable. And so I'm pleased to be here. You mentioned the berry to me once before, and honestly, I hoped that by this time I would be sitting here making some goji berry jam, which jam goes with my show, Gogi's After Dinner J.A.M. And the berry, I really want to make it like with some kind of sweetener and just make a nice jam as a kind of like a product for the show to symbolize the show. But thank you so much. I mean, that was such great information. I enjoyed it tremendously, and it's so needed in our community. Thank you for having me. And I wanted to say, just share a little bit about myself, that if that's what you'd like me to do. But I'm going to follow your lead today, Lynn.
Oh, yes, please. I would like to hear, first of all, not many people know that you have a master's in education, that you held some very important positions, including adjunct professor in a college. You made some impact. You retired from the public education now, and you organize people on the East Coast so wonderfully. I've been on your call, answered questions from your community member, and you are really provide that support that TIs so desperately need.
Absolutely. Thank you again. I want to tell you how J.A.M became, what motivated me to start the Justice Action Meeting. And really, I was, as a young girl growing up, I was very nerdy, a bookworm, very shy, introverted. And I worked hard and I studied hard. I got good grades and I did, all the right things, right? Good old American things. And I never, ever imagined that this kind of thing existed and that this world the Constitution is not standing and that democracy is being challenged. I just never imagined any of it. So as I was, going through school and through work, I put everything in it. I was somewhat of a workaholic and still am. And I just, focus on it on a mission and make sure I get it done and do it the best that I can. Passionately, because I get into what I decide to get into. So when I found out that I was being targeted, I, of course, called the police when I saw certain people, like stalkers, car outside all the time. When I would walk my dog, I would see cars sitting, and that's not the norm for my neighborhood. So when I found out that the police were not my friend and they were going to be no help, it was really very concerning. And I prayed about it and I asked God about it. And very interesting enough, he told me, I was like, what am I going to do to put one foot in front of the other? And honestly, if he had said anything else, if I have got any other instruction, I think I would not have been able to do it. But I knew that I could put one foot in front of the other. So I began putting one foot in front of the other every day. And in meeting but I was isolated and down, very depressed and upset about it. I really was lost, because to me, the police, the law enforcement, that's our answer when we have crime or when someone is harassing you or bothering you. And they did not help. And so the community saved my life. I found Targeted Justice. And at first I wasn't sure. I saw so much information. I really wasn't sure, but what stayed in my mind was that diagram of this woman with her briefcase that was being nominated, going through the steps. And I started looking at be right about here. And I hope I never get here. That was the do. And And I saw myself. And then I reached out, and Richard Lighthouse responded. And I was asking for people in New York, is there anybody in New York that is targeted like me? So there's lots of people in New York. He said, but there's no group. Maybe you want to start, be a leader. And I was like, I don't know. I'm looking for help. I don't know if I can lead anybody, right? And so I thought about it for a while, and I started meeting people on Facebook and and then I got introduced to the moderators, some of the calls with the community in the community, and I started getting more comfortable and more confident. And I said, wow, there's a whole bunch of people out here that are victims as well. And for some reason, it brought me comfort. And I realized that people need that. So I began to, so when I responded to Richard Lighthouse, and I said I would do it. And then that's when I started Gogi's After Dinner J.A.M. And I didn't want a session where we just commiserate. And I don't want to say just commiserate, because there's a need for that. There's a time and a place for that. But I felt that with the lawsuit, because Anna Toledo filed a lawsuit in January, and I felt that we could do more. We could support it. We could mobilize and act and do, because I'm a doer. And so we started the Justice Action Meeting, where yes, it's about mobilization. And we send letters. I had started a petition. We started signing the petition, then we started sending a letter to Jim Jordan and to let them know that we're here, we need your help. And while you're investigating the weaponization of the alphabet soup, please know that targeted individuals are out here and we need your help. So we all signed the letter and sent the letter, and we've sent it several times. And it's still, as Attorney Anna refers to, the pink or the big elephant in the room. But I'm hoping and expecting some more whistleblowers that will really deal with not only diplomats, but everyday moms and dads that are on that list. As you all mentioned, the terrorist screening database, we take up 97%, and yet no one is a criminal, or no one has been charged with anything. So so the J.A.M is a joy for me. I look forward to it. People seem to look forward to it. And we certainly enjoy both of you when you come, and we love to show our love for you and so forth. Lynn.
Thank you, Gogi. Sometimes life chooses you. Sometimes you don't choose what to do, and you answered that call and decided to support the community. And I'm sure that people really appreciate what you do. And those skeptics that look at that are watching this show and thinking, yeah, we heard targeted individuals, they're just mental cases. I guarantee this is not in our imagination. The lawsuit that is happening right now will demonstrate it. We will get to the discovery, and you will see that this is not our imagination. This is not a mental disorder. This is real. The program is real. The agencies are real. This carnival of deception of the many versions of the nomination process is real, and we will have our case in court. So with that, I know that Anna prepared some advice for the members of your community that I hope that they will find this advice very helpful. Anna.
Yes, I wanted to see, as an attorney, I believe some things are just obvious, but I have come to learn that it's not so obvious to some people. And I just wanted, targeted individuals, I have learned many of them are entrapped. And I think that if you know these like basic rights you have, that you might not have learned them at civics, at school. You should know about them and prevent, unnecessary, bad events happening in your life. One of them is this: you do not open the door to anyone you don't know. You have to have a chain in your house. If the police knock on your door, you very politely ask them, do you have a warrant? If they don't have a warrant, you do not have to open the door to any police agent and invite them into your house, let alone talk to them. Do you have a warrant? Yes or no? No, show it to me through the chain of your door, because otherwise they will, they are allowed to break the door down, right? So it's all very peaceful, it's all very civil. But if they don't have a warrant, you don't have to talk to any policeman that came to your house for a wellness check. I'm just gonna very briefly tell the story of my wellness check that they did to me. They thought back in Puerto Rico they were gonna put me into a mental hospital. And so this agent with a fake name, he calls himself Agent Good, comes to my house and says, no, we came to check because the neighbors have been complaining. And I'm like, really? What neighbors? No, I can't tell you that. You will know that in your preliminary hearing. So then I go, well, you mean that there's an accusation against me, there's probable cause here, and you haven't even read me my rights? And so the other woman that was with him, she started retreating, like, trying to hide herself in the bushes, like, like the Simpsons. And she started texting, and they pretty much left because, because I confronted him. What is this? Are you really interrogating me without having read me my rights? And who I have a right to confront who my accuser is, but most TIs don't know this. So my advice is, number one, you do not talk to police if they don't have a warrant in your house, and you let alone let them in. Second of all, if they stop you on the road, you have a duty. And this, this is civics 101. You have a duty to show them your driver's license. That's it. You don't have to answer questions. You don't, you just give your name. You have to give your name and your driver's license. That's it. And that's something that TIs don't understand. It's really, and obviously, if you have to take a DUI test, well, you cannot refuse that, because in some, that can be a felony, or it's a crime. But what I'm saying is, don't engage in chit chat, because you're just giving them tools. And in that handling code document that you put in the slide, police are instructed to do like a little, scoping the territory to see if they find any evidence of a crime, so they can entrap you into a crime. Number two, you can give flyers away, and you can exert your freedom of expression as long as you're in a public place. Okay, so policemen cannot tell you, no, you cannot be giving those flyers away or anything. If you're in a public place, if you're in a private place, you can ask for permission. But that's basically it. And now, one of the things that I have been seeing often is that people their break-ins into their houses is getting much worse. And one of the tactics, I was a victim of this, and one of the tactics that when I have to leave the house, because for whatever reason I seldom leave, but whenever I do have to leave, so we have one of these at the door entrance door, right? And so you put the lock on it. But what makes it, because these criminals, they know how to open these locks. So what we do is that after we lock it, we put tape, like masking tape around it, right? And then some maybe 2 or 3 times we do the tape, and then we write our initials in it, or write a little message like, don't mess with my house, or something. And so the tapes, that it takes various parts of the tapes, so they cannot put it back. And if you slice it with a with a little a knife or something, then they cannot put it back together. And then the most important part is you take a picture of it. And that way they won't come into your house if the other doors are secured with these inside. This is essential to have them. I know they don't look pretty, but from inside, and your windows really well closed, well, you're not going to have that problem. And I really urge everybody to do this, because I know Targeted Justice had this video, and it seems it's so buried in there that people are not seeing it. Look for it, because Richard made one of these videos and explained it thoroughly. And I really just, feeling safe. For me, sleeping, when I was back in Puerto Rico, I had to put these in my bedroom door and close it and hide the key, but hide the key with my eyes closed, because as I have repeated to many people, the people that do the remote neural monitoring don't communicate for clearance reasons with the thugs on the street doing the gang stalking. So if I close my eyes because of the interface of the lenses in my eyes, so that is operated at a local level. So that's why if they couldn't see where I was putting the key, they couldn't give me the command to wake up and open the door. And that's why, but I'm different, because I'm different. I have other problems, right? But if you put this from inside, they cannot get in. When you go to sleep, because the other one, they can give you the command to just open it. A normal lock, you can just switch, open it. But this you can, if you have to put the key away. So that's just, my advice. Don't talk to the police. You don't have to, unless there's a warrant. And even with a warrant, you don't have to talk to them. You just have to let them in, because it's a law. And that's just my civics class for the day, because I think when I think of all the TIs that were legally placed in mental hospitals, because they talk to people they didn't have to talk to, it's a travesty that they didn't know that they didn't have to talk to them, And
Yes, and thank you. I hope Gogi, I hope members of your community will appreciate the advice, and everybody who listens to us or watches it on Spotify or on YouTube will take this advice, and it will empower you. We're getting to the end of the show, and this is an Independence Day weekend, and I would like to ask Gogi and Anna this question, both of you. We're celebrating the Declaration of Independence, a beautifully written, inspirational document that we hold close to our hearts. What special meaning does that have to you as a targeted individual? Gogi, please.
Well, I used to wear red, white, and blue, go to barbecues and just have a great time during this holiday season, during July 4th. But now it's painful, because it's not the great America that I thought growing up, that the things that are happening to targeted individuals are allowed to persist. I know that Anna, the attorney, filed a preliminary injunction, and that we didn't get immediate outrage and immediate response is so disheartening to me, that when I think about America and I think about freedom, I don't celebrate any longer. To me, reading about a 3-year-old disabled child on a terrorist list, or a woman over 80, feeble senior elder on a terrorist list, being tormented and impacted, I would just do what I need to do in order to make decisions that would free these people. So, and I understand the brevity of this situation. It's not an easy thing as a judge, as any officer of the law, of a person with any kind of standing, to make decisions to go against everything they know. However, it's when you understand that the threat of humanity is at hand, the threat of our democracy, our constitutional rights, our human rights, our God-given rights, all of our rights are being stripped. And if people allow this experiment to persist against targeted individuals, over 300,000 in the United States alone, then what's going to happen to the rest of the world? So, and people have to understand that if it's us now, it's them tomorrow. So not making a stance, being silent is not an option. And I heard that saying at our gathering in New York. Silence is not an option. So I believe that the judge has to do something, and no pressure, but I mean, it's on the table. So again, it has a totally different meaning. My life is interrupted. I was living my best life, and it has been totally interrupted. As you said before, Lynn, Dr. Bear, I've answered the call. I didn't choose it. I've answered the call, and I'm expecting good things to happen. And so hopefully next year I can celebrate Independence Day for real. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gogi. That was inspirational. Anna, I have the same question for you. The Declaration of the Independence, does it have a special meaning to you as a target individual and an attorney in this historic lawsuit? Anna?
Yeah. Well, it does, because the United States is supposed to be the freest country of them all. The constitutional protections that we have, no other nation can equal or surpass them right now in terms of their constitutions. And it's a real shame that there is a class of people here that are enslaved by this horrible program. So like Gogi, I'm not going to be celebrating this year until we are free. It's the United States has got to stop this criminal program, and Congress has to come, defund it, just like they're talking defund the FBI. I'm just saying, this program happens because Congress provides the funds for it, the billions of dollars that it cost. And for me, it's a hypocrisy for the people in Congress to be celebrating, Independence Day, while there are so many Americans that are enslaved under this program. And that's why I'm not going to be celebrating this year.
Wow, Anna, those words really disheartening, because as to me, every 4th of July, I actually open the document and read the Declaration of Independence, because it's such an inspirational, beautiful written document. And I want people to understand that we as targeted individuals have been alienated from our rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it's not optional. It's we all deserve that. We all need that. And taking away this right is not an option. I dream of the day when we will truly celebrate the return of our rights. But until then, we'll be here every Sunday, rain or shine.